For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Greg. I think y'all may know me because I know a lot of you, but I'm Greg Warner. I'm the CEO and founder of MarketSmart. And what we're going to do today is we turned it into a monthly affair, and your feedback is very much welcome on this. Of course, this is a free bonus to help you engage with other like-minded, amazing fundraisers and learn from each other, and also learn from Dr. James' teachings. I know that some of you are not in the taking the training course from Dr. James, but that's okay. You could just arrive at these masterminds and you'll probably get plenty out of it anyway. So with that, I'm going to jump into showing these slides. Whoops. All right, here we go. And I see more people coming in. That's great. All right. So a little bit of housekeeping real quick is that if you're obviously either a MarketSmart customer or you paid for the course with Dr. James. And anyone, I just want to remind you that anybody involved in your organization can attend these events. These are not closed to just you. We have learned that when administrators are invited, it helps you help them to understand what the heck you do so that they'll maybe be more supportive of your efforts. So again, there will be possibly MarketSmart customers and eCourse students in here, and you can feel free to share this meeting link with anybody, including your board members or volunteers. So, and you'll be invited every month. If you're not a customer of MarketSmart and you would like to learn what the heck it is that we do and why, you can sign up to talk to Sherry and or anyone else on my staff, and we'll show you what we do. Our presentations, demonstrations are not salesy. They're very much educational, and hopefully anybody who's the customer can attest to that. We just want to see if there's a fit and then see if we can help you. All right, so I'd like to start off with this group asking first, well, maybe I'll just say this is the agenda for the day. It's just an hour. It'll be rather quick. We'd love to start off with hearing some good news from anybody, even if it's just one person who can share a recent success. And then I'm going to give you a quick discussion from Dr. James's research and his eCourse, and then we're going to break into groups, and we're going to talk about donor stories that we've heard from donors. And finally, we're going to regroup. Unless there's not enough people, I don't know how many people there are. We may just do this in this group. And then we'll talk about what are our favorites and why. So before I go into Dr. James' research, does anybody have an amazing good news story? And sadly, Lori was just on here from Red Cross saying there's disasters that she's dealing with. I guess the good news on that is that American Red Cross is here thanks to their donors to save the day. But does anybody have any amazing successes? Got a recent promotion, figured something out, cracked the code on how to raise money better, faster, cheaper, anything? If you don't share, I'll share you my favorite story, and maybe this will help spur a good news. So I'm in the hills of West Virginia right now, taking my daughter to because she got into vet school. So vet school at Virginia Tech. So there's rolling hills behind me, and I'm at a truck stop. That's my good news. Any cool learnings recently? Any big gifts signed? Any good vacations?
Well, I'll share one. My name is Elizabeth. I just started, I've been doing major gifts for about 25 years, but I just transitioned to full-time planned giving. And so it's really new for me. So I'm excited to be engaging with market, and we have MarketSmart and use the surveys and so forth. So I'm really having a good time getting to know donors that raise their hands through the survey. And so I'm working today on closing my first charitable gift annuity gift on my own. So
Wow.
thank you for
All
that.
right. Good for you. Yes, very exciting. We'll be thinking of you and we wish you luck. And unless anybody else has some good news they want to share before we jump in, just speak away. Otherwise, I'm going to jump into the
And
research.
Greg, and just to follow up on Elizabeth, you remind us of gift annuities. I think it's a record for us. We just had the same persons do their 15th gift annuity. So it's a great tool. Loves the school, loves the college. We're out here in Whittier. And with the rates going up, that's how we've been marketing it. The one decent thing about inflation is CGA rates go up. And so this person said, I was waiting for the rates to go up to get my 15th one started. So it's a great repeat opportunity with our plan givers. Yeah,
Devin, gift annuities are interesting because they're more transactional types of gifts. But we look at them like leads. We call them leads because your best annuity, second and third and 15th annuity comes from your previous annuity donors, but also they can become remainder gifts, legacy gifts or even major donors. Yep. Terrific. Any other good news? Yeah, Lori.
I have one, and I was going to save it for a Donor's Heroes Journey later. But I spoke on the phone with an elderly donor yesterday, and she's a generous outright donor to the American Red Cross in what we call our Tiffany Circle for Outstanding Women Leaders. And she and her sister actually are generous donors to the Red Cross because of their father, who supported us before his death. And she's been telling us for quite a while, several years, that she will include the Red Cross in her future plans. And the Tiffany Circle is having its annual celebration in September. So I seized the opportunity to call her and say, Donna, it would be so wonderful if we could recognize you and present your Legacy Society Tiffany Circle charm at the celebration. If there's any chance that this is moving toward completion, no pressure, of course. I believe, you'll find the right time for you. And she called me back and she said, well, it's a charitable remainder annuity trust, which was something that we've talked about, but it's been probably a year since we talked about it. And I said, oh, really? It's completed? And she said, yes, it's in effect. So you have a loved one getting an annuity and the ultimate remainder will come to the Red Cross? Yes. And she's still thinking about whether we can recognize her, but that was a great surprise. And I was shaking my head, Greg, when you said faster, better, smarter, because there's no faster in my world of gift planning. It's like persistence, patient, polite persistence. You're muted.
That's probably all of your worlds. Is you are the leaders of polite persistence and perseverance. And if only we can get the leadership of every organization and board members and such to understand why they need to give you a little bit of a breathing room and understand the donor cycle, the hero story cycle, which is in fact what I'm going to get into right now. So let's jump in. Thanks for that story, Lori. That was nice to hear. And same to you, Elizabeth and Devin. All right. So let's see. Oh, we already did the good news. That's not you all. That's more us, I guess. Anyway. All right. So if you have gotten far in Dr. James's course, the eCourse, you may already know some of this, but I'm going to recount it anyway, because this was one of the biggest learnings that I got from Dr. James's 4 books, is the likening of the donor consideration process to a donor hero story process. And what Dr. James helped me realize, and it was always there in my mind, but he crystallized it. And then of course we create the graphics for him to help further simplify, is that every donor involved in a relational, usually a mid-level major gift or legacy gift, and not a transactional gift, because transactional gifts happen very fast and they're usually impulse oriented. But anybody who's contemplating a major gift, legacy gift is a major gift. Anyone who does that is going through a hero story process. Now, the older I get, I can tell you, and I just turned 53, the older I get, the more I'm thinking in terms of this is becoming more relatable to me, because I'm thinking about, okay, what was my original identity in my life? And you have many, like you go through different cycles. When I graduated from college, my original identity was different than when I was in high school. And now that I'm an entrepreneur and CEO is a lot different than when I was an employee, or me being a dad, or part of my community. There's all different original identities that people have. However, the important thing is that we have to understand the original identity of an individual as it relates to your cause. That's where, and I know some of you are Market Smart customers, that's why we recommend the tech-enabled donor discovery survey, because our survey helps people to recount their original identity to you through an arm's length, very safe procedure, if you will, whereby they engage with a survey, and that's less scary than engaging with a human. Once you understand their original identity, and as long as it clearly aligns with your organization in some way, for instance, a professor changed the direction of their life by recommending that they do something, you know? I mean, I'll be honest, I was mixed up in college. I had failed out of the business school. I was in the design school because I could draw and stuff, and that wasn't going so well either. And then someone said, well, can you write? I was like, yeah, I can write. So they recommended I get a journalism degree, and there was an advertising and marketing sequence in that. So, I mean, that was Professor Rice. God bless him, you know, changed my life really. So everybody has those kinds of stories, whether it's a doctor or a nurse or a program person that help them entwine their original identity with your cause. Now, that's pretty much after that happens, that's kind of where Market Smart ends. I mean, Market Smart collects that donor discovery, and then we cultivate the relationship. But then somewhere in this top arrow is where a facilitator, also known as a fundraiser, needs to step in and be the counselor, the guide, the sage. You all spend so much time working with so many donors, and you're the experts in facilitating the exchange of money for some value. The donors don't do this every day. And in fact, this is becoming more and more, there's a lot of research. In fact, I think today's blog post from me may have talked about this, is most wealthy people are first generation. It's now 74%, I think now. And the number of people who are like dynastic wealth keeps shrinking. Now, the difference is that dynastic wealthy people, they learned from their family and their grandparents how to be philanthropic. They were taught at a young age, or they saw their parents going to galas and all this kind of stuff. The first generation wealthy, many are immigrants, they don't know how to give their money away. They spent all their time learning how to accumulate wealth, and then they get to a certain age or point in their wealth earnings where they're like, this is stupid. How much money can I possibly accumulate? And then they want to start giving back. So they look for a facilitator, and they actually yearn for your help to provide them with a challenge. That's an opportunity to make a choice to become a philanthropist, essentially. Although I wouldn't use the word philanthropist with them, because that doesn't resonate. But to be someone who can be the hero in their own life story, either internally, anonymously, or externally to their community and such, people that they know. Your job is to make that challenge in a way that resonates. When the pieces fit and match their original identity, and they see that the challenge can provide them with a victory, in other words, can help them realize the best version of themselves, because they don't want their original identity anymore. They want to go further and they want to enhance their identity. The best example of this is when you think of the old movie, I think it's called A Christmas Carol. I'm not old enough, I guess, but with Scrooge. Was that called A Christmas Carol? Scrooge, thanks, Devin. You're my sidekick today. So with Scrooge, right? Scrooge was mean and all that kind of stuff and not very charitable and a miser. And then the angel of death showed him his grave and it said, yeah, this guy died lonely and as a miser, nobody liked him. Nobody wants to die that way. People want to find meaning in their lives by living out their values, and their values are going to align with your cause, hopefully. If they don't, there's probably not going to be any motivation for a gift. So before I go on, does this make sense to everybody, or does anybody have any thoughts or comments? Since the group is so small, you're welcome to chime in. Okay, so from here, and Dr. James recounts this in the training and in his books over and over and over again. I also want to mention that there are some individuals in our space and in our sector who really don't like the idea of a hero story. There's this idea of saviorism and such. But I will tell you that most of those people are not in your positions. They don't actually talk to the donors. They don't see them cry tears of joy having given $1 million or what, you know, I mean, it's a little hard for them to comprehend. So when you hear that in the market or in the sector or in chat groups, don't get tripped up by it. I think what mostly they're concerned about is donors having too much power. And that's kind of what we have policies for, and boards and acceptance policies and whatnot. So don't get tripped up by that. Because if you're sitting in front of a donor and you're talking about exchanging their money for some value, the value that you're selling is an enhanced identity. So they can find meaning in life. They feel that they're having a purposeful existence here. And you're their facilitator that can help them gain that. So what we'd like you to do, and I think we're going to break into about 2 groups in a minute. We're going to go, and if you're not comfortable, you don't have to engage. Please don't feel that you have to. But it would help everybody on the call if you would consider, and we're going to share this graphic. If it should be at the top of your chat. In fact, if you look at your chat, there's a graphic, and I'm going to walk you through it here. Is that we'd like you to briefly just think about a donor. Not a group of donors, not data that you got from our surveys or something like that from our system. Think about a donor, a supporter that you sat down with who told you their original identity. Something like I just told you about Professor Rice, right? Think about them and tell the group, the breakout group, who was it, not by name, but, you know, describe them. And what was their original identity? What was the reason that they cared at all? And then describe the challenge that either you made or they came to the realization that they wanted to make for themselves, right? What was that challenge? Was it to do a charitable gift annuity, or what was it that Lori just said? I forgot what it was, but they did a charitable remainder trust, if I remember right, right? So they either challenge themselves, and Lori can tell the story in depth if you're in her group. They either challenge themselves, or throughout the engagement process, Lori has been engaging with this person for months or probably years about that challenge. Now, what will move people forward is them realizing the outcomes that the organization and other human beings essentially will gain from that challenge. It's usually, in other words, what will your partnership with them, what are the outcomes that will come from that challenge if they accept it? And then if you even know it, and you may not, because it's hard, sometimes this is private, what is the enhanced identity that they gain from it? And some people will reveal that. Some want notoriety. Some want anonymity. Some want an opportunity to pay back or to be able to show their kids how to do it, what to do with money like this. So does that make sense before I go to the next one? Yeah, I see heads nodding. Thank you. Cool. So this is really just explaining, this is the slide that we uploaded for you to do this breakout. This is just saying everything I said again in just a minute ago, a little bit more in detail, just in case you forget what I just said. So is everybody ready to go? Like I go like this, woo, and we go into the breakout rooms. It's kind of like, yeah. So I guess we're ready. Here we go.